Hello, maurieo. Engineering Design and Drawing, MG5005, Session 2, Types of Plans and Sketches. Hello, and welcome to Session 2 and the introduction to Session 2 for Engineering Design and Drawing. So let's go to the Moodle site. Well, we're at the Moodle site to the actual one for this, and Session 2. So here we are, looking at Session 2. So I've asked that before you come to class, you read the Sketching Guide by Tom Swales, which is in the resources down here with the Sketching Guide. And yes, it's that one there. So you can download that fairly easily and give that a bit of a read. It's quite helpful for issues around sketching. Okay, so hopefully you've done that and reviewed the other course material. So as is usual, the session plan is here. It's included in my that should be session notes. I'll just take this opportunity to make this session notes. You can see how easy it is to adjust this interface. So if you find any errors and things, and I should actually turn the editing off because that sort of makes it less complex for people watching. So you can see how easy it is to edit and change things, and possibly how easy it is to make mistakes as well. So I'm going to work from these notes, which is effectively a PowerPoint here. So and this PowerPoint is available to you. So if you wish, you can follow through the PowerPoint with me, or have it on your screen just to make it so much easier. Here it is here, and then we just do a slideshow from the beginning, right from the beginning. So there you can see is the title that we had at the start of the video. So that's that bit done. Now the plan for the session. Obviously, each week we have one 2-hour session, which is the white area here, and a 3-hour session here. So yes, this is the plan, is to, first of all, you should come to class and sign the register and log into Moodle, and then the intro to session 2, which is this video here. I do this live, and believe me, my live show is something to behold. And then once I've done my little spiel and answered any questions, it's head down and into the assignment work and any feedback that I can give you on a one-to-one basis. So, and the assignments, will vary from time to time. At the moment, we're working on the tennis ball launcher design process and the basic 2D CAD. Now we have a second session later in the week, a 3-hour session, where we sign the class, come in, sign in. I do just a very quick, hello, and pick up anything that's happened in the intervening period of time, and then do a quick Q&A if there's any questions, and then it's into that assignment work. Now, hopefully today you'll see why it is that I want you to be doing assignment work and things as much as possible, rather than passively listening to me, where I'm doing all the work and you're just listening. So and you'll see why I do that. Hopefully, when I go through today's little a monologue, I suppose it's called, or soliloquy, I'm not quite sure. All right, here we go. So on successful completion of this session, you should have you should be confirmed as part of a team. So last week I introduced the concept of teams and asked you to form into teams. So we're just going to finalise that process this week, if it hasn't been done already. You should continue to develop your CAD skills. These are very important. These are skills that you will carry throughout the program with you. Updated your diary. Don't forget your diary. Planned a work program for the tennis ball launcher, so you should have worked out who's going to do what in your teams, if you are working for teams, and become aware of plan and hand sketching materials that I've made available on the site, and hopefully those skills will be integrated into your skill set very soon, and sort of understood what work you have to you need to get done before next week. Okay, ideally. Yeah, alrighty. So, this is my little bit here, student-centered learning. So this is what we're trying to achieve here, is student-centered learning. That's the learning approach that we're trying to use at the moment, and trying to get that embedded in there. So, well, what is student-centered learning, you might well ask? And obviously, what's the opposing view? So, I'm so glad you asked that question, because, funnily enough, that's my next slide, which looks at, it puts up student-centered learning against what we call teacher-centered learning, which is perhaps the traditional model that people have of a teacher. It's certainly the model that I was taught under. I'm reluctant to say learned under, but taught under, in the sense that generally the teachers gave us a set of guidelines, and then it was sort of up to us to work out what the hell they meant. That's well into the past. And the student-centered model, which is what we're trying to do today. And so we're going to look at the pros and cons of each one, or the aspects of each one, how they work. And to do that, we're going to look at various elements of each one. So the first element we're going to look at is knowledge. So in the teacher-centered model, knowledge is transmitted from instruction. So all of the knowledge that's taught or transmitted is the knowledge that the teacher has. So it's my knowledge. Now that knowledge, it's stood me in pretty good stead up till now. I've, some might say, you may disagree, but it's there. But some of that knowledge is very dated, and will possibly be of no particular relevance to you going forward. Some of the stuff I know, it's marvellous stuff, but what sort of pencil you would use in different circumstances. So usually in a field book, when I'm writing in a field book, I like to use a 2H pencil, because it's sort of reasonably hard, but it's not too soft so that it smudges when you rub your hands over it. No, so I wouldn't use an H or an HB. It's just too soft and too smudgy in the field working situation. But for me, the 2H is just right. And of course, the 3H is way too hard, and it sort of starts to cut the paper. And the 6H, well, don't even bother. So where do you use the 6H pencil? Well, you use the 6H for plotting coordinates, plotting on coordinates onto cartridge paper or onto your plot sheets before you draw your plans. Now, this knowledge it's as you can see, I'm well versed and know it inside out and pretty well. However, we don't plot coordinates anymore. We can do that digitally with things. A lot of us are not using field notes at all. It's all done with data recorders and things like that. So while I can tell you and impart all of this knowledge, in terms of going forward, it's not particularly relevant. However, in the student-centered thing, students construct their own knowledge. They find out the things that are relevant to them and learn about them and how they might be of some help, and that's very that's going to be helping them with their career moving forward, rather than then obtaining a whole lot of knowledge that's, while it's correct and fine and good, it's not going to be particularly helpful going forward. So it's important that students construct their own knowledge, and that's what they take forward and work on and improve on. Now, student participation in the teacher-centred model, students are generally passive. They're sitting back, just listening to this person pontificate on all sorts of interesting stuff, but you don't actually have to do it. All you have to do is listen. If you're clever, maybe take a few notes and things like that. And, if you're lucky, you might retain some of it or remember some of it. However, in the student-centred model, you're very active. You're actually doing things. You learn. I have a little thing that if you're doing something, you're learning. So, if you've got to be doing something. Now, that something might be quite simple task, like maybe writing something out or even colouring something in. But generally doing something rather than being passive is the student-centred way. The role of the lecturer or teacher in the teacher-centred, they are the leader, the authority. They know everything, and you come to them for the answers, for the knowledge. However, in the student-centred, not so much. The lecturer is the facilitator. It points the student in the direction of knowledge that they might then work with and learn and acquire. So the teacher becomes a partner in the learning rather than the leader or the authority. So it's much more the student is, developing leader skills and moving forward under their own steam. So the role of assessment in all this, well, in the teacher-centred ones, you have a few tests, and the idea of the test is just to work out where you are, grading. However, in the student-centred thing, we have quite a lot of little tests and assessments as well, and the purpose of those is to give you ongoing feedback. So you learn from your tests, you learn from your mistakes, is a fairly common cliche that is used. So obviously, if you learn from your mistakes, the more mistakes you make, the more you're going to learn. And certainly the learning teaching environment is the best place to make mistakes, because the consequences of making those mistakes are not the same as if you went out into the workplace and made the same mistake. It's an opportunity to make mistakes, take some risks, and then get some good feedback that will maybe help you not make those mistakes again. So it gives you some experience of how to do stuff without the consequences of making a mistake. Putting a building in the wrong place or something like that, $1 million mistake, or filling a 747 up with the wrong gas or something like that. These are the opportunities that we get in the learning environment. So take risks, try new stuff, and just give it a crack. And if you make a mistake, well, what's the worst that could happen? Or you might have to do it again, but it's not a big problem. Okay, and you'll learn more from your mistakes than you ever will from getting things exactly right and parroting or repeating stuff sent out to you by a teacher. The emphasis. Now, the emphasis in the teacher-centred model is on learning correct answers. Okay, but in the student-centred, it's developing deeper understanding. So, the fact that sometimes we can get the answers, and there's been a lot of studies done on this, that students, they can get the answers all right. They can tell you, what speed something will fall down an inclined plane and all of these sort of things. I'll get the correct answer, but when you actually examine their idea of, say, the concept of gravity, they just fall apart. They don't understand some of the concepts even. So, so in the student-centered one, we're interested in you developing a deeper understanding of the concepts rather than just knowing how to get the correct answer. Now, the assessment method in teacher-centered, it's usually just one-dimensional testing. Okay, that's it. Whereas in the student-centered, it's multi-dimensional testing. So we do all sorts of different types of assessment, different types of teaching. There's presentations. You might have to make a video, make a poster, that sort of thing. Do some assignments, work on a project, interview an expert. All of these sort of things. That's the student-centered approach, as opposed to the the teacher stands at the front. They're the fountain of all knowledge. You do what they say. You get the right answer on a bit of paper, and that's it. You move forward. You're not actually learning very much doing that. You're learning and retaining more with the student-centered one. But I will say it is a lot harder work for the student. You've got to work hard sometimes. And the culture of it all, well, the teacher-centered one's quite competitive, and it's up to the individual. Whereas the student-centered one, more collaborative. You've got to quite often work with other people, actually work with the teacher, and it's more supportive, that they try and help you to learn new stuff at the level that you're at. So that's just a little slide on the teacher-centered learning approach. The student-centered learning approach that we're trying to we're trying to implement as best we can, for your thing. But do be aware that it requires more work than perhaps if you're used to the traditional teacher-centered thing. It's quite simple in there, but this requires more work over the entire semester, not just at assessment times. You need to be working all the time to develop in your understanding. Now, in the next slide, you'll try and see why this is. Why do we do this? And this is the learning pyramid here. Average student retention rates. Now, this is done by studies from all around the place, and all of them are conglomerated together. But this is the sort of thing that we see a lot, and this tells us about student retention, how much information they are retaining. So you can see at the top of the pyramid is the lecture. And essentially, you don't retain that information. So this little, what I'm doing here, this introduction, in a couple of hours or so, you probably won't, unless I fall off my chair or, break my glasses or something like that, you'll probably remember very little of what I said or that sort of thing. You might, remember a few basics. But in a week's time, you'll probably remember nothing. There's something about something about a pyramid or something like that. So not too much. So these are going through all of the different things. Reading, the retention rate's 10%. Audio, visual and videos, maybe 20%. Someone actually demonstrates the actual thing in front of you, 30%. And discussing it with others is 50% retention. So you remember your interactions with other people. So you've got things to tie it to. That's good. Practice doing something, of course. There's very good retention in that, and improving of skills. And this is, there's examples of this. If you say, for instance, get when I was at school a long time ago, obviously a yo-yo. So I got a yo-yo. Well, they came in, and when I first got it, I could just get it to hardly get it to spin up and down the string. But after a couple of weeks of practicing night and day and taking it to school and discussing it with my mates and practicing it, I could do the walk the dog and swing the spaceman, and I could make it roll around at the bottom of the string and all these sort of things. And so it's through practice, as you'll be aware with, like, if you play sports and things like that, the more you practice, the better you get. And in fact, there's a famous quotation, I think it's from Arnold Palmer, one of the top golfers, or Greg Norman or someone like that, one of the top golfers, and someone said to him, gee, you're really lucky with your putting. When you're putting at golf, you get so many of them. You're really lucky. And famously the guy replied, he says, yes, he said, the more I practice, the luckier I get. And this is dead right. Practice it. But when we get down to the bottom, the way to retain the most information is to teach others. Try and explain to others how something works or how it does, or try and teach them how to do it. And I can certainly vouch for this, because as a teacher and myself, I sometimes learn so much each day. I'm always learning new information, just from the way that people do it, or from what people say, or some students might show me things. I know I've certainly learnt things from some of the students in this class in the past. And so the person that actually learns the most in the classroom situation is actually the teacher. You learn heaps, and that is the best way. If you can get the opportunity, if someone asks you and says, well, how do you do this, of explaining it to them, that's the best way of learning things. And this is why we try and get collaboration and discussion and practice of things, so that those bottom three there, because they're the best ways of retaining knowledge. And I'll give some more slides on that a bit later on in the course. So moving right ahead now, so that's my little advertisement for today, so to speak. Is your diary up to date? Now, I've promised you that I will remind you every session about, is your diary up to date? I want you to develop a habit of keeping your diary up to date, putting information in your diary as to what happened, what you're going to do, what you propose to do, what you feel about what you've done, how well it was, or what other people have done, your reflections, your little information. So get in the habit of making a comment in your diary every time, and I will remind you and remind you and remind you. I'll stop there. Okay, so the tennis ball launcher. So that's our project that we're working on now. So a little bit of information on that. We do need to, I've put up the teams on the Moodle site. We'll have a look at that a bit later on. But I do want to remind you that the key element of the tennis ball launcher project is the design process. The project is a vehicle for you to demonstrate your understanding, or your group's understanding, of the design process, whichever one you choose to use. This is the one that the pattern that I've been following, but the design process is the key to all design and all engineering. And so we need to have a deep understanding of the design process and how it works. Okay, and one of the ways that the design process works is that when we make a mistake, we go back and try and work out why, and we evaluate it and fix it. So the making of mistakes and having things that don't work is as important as being able to come up with something straight away. So just remember the emphasis on certainly on the design process, which is very important. teamwork. You should be in your teams now. As of this session, you should certainly know who your teammates are and be starting to work with them and work out who's got to do what, so that you can reduce the workload for everybody. Okay, you don't want just one person in your team doing everything and the other three just watching on, or maybe giving them a bit of a, buying them a coffee now and again, or giving them a little bit of a hand clap as they get something done. It's all about sharing the load and doing as much as you possibly can to help the other people. If you see something that needs to be done, do it. And, do the little things. Just tidy up if someone's on a roll, tidy up the bit of paper, or help make some notes, or take a photograph, or take a video. All of these things are there that you must keep the team moving forward. And sometimes somebody's just got to do the little jobs to help, so that other people can, fulfill their potential. So, be prepared to, don't be hunting the glory. Sometimes, someone's got to sweep the floor, or, clean the windows or something like that. So, just be prepared to help do every little thing that'll help your team move forward. All right. Now, the other thing that's happening is the basic 2D CAD. And again, this is a key skill that you're going to need going forward for the rest of the course, because these skills that you pick up here will then have to be applied in the subsequent assignments and things that we do, in the picnic table assignment and in the project. So it's very important, Trey's important, that you keep up to date with these and don't fall behind. So set yourself a bit of a pace that you're going to follow, and see if you can keep up with that, as well as getting your launcher and what have you off the ground. Now, in that regard, I've made these a hard copy of these sheets available. They're the little skill sheets. So as I'm going around talking to you and getting a little bit of feedback, you can stop me, and you can do a maximum of 5 of these at a time. So you could grab my attention and show me that you can zoom and pan, set the units, select options. These are 5 things. Now, I'll show you a bit later on in the Moodle site if you're unsure about what each one involves, how I've started making some videos that show you how to do that. So these are the skill sheets. You get this signed off. That's, I think, half the CAD project all sorted. Then all you have to do is get your plans together and get them into me, you're all good to go. So they're available today. I'll have hard copies of those. Make sure you get one, and make sure you start getting it filled in, or perhaps I should get one of those clipper things, and I could clip the ticket as you do. And then you hand that in with your 2D CAD assignment, of course, and or straight away I can check your plans, make sure that the evidence that should be there is there, and then we're done with that part of it. So that's all very good. Now, before next week, I'd like you to read the resources that I've made available in this particular thing here in the Moodle site, about the types of plans and hand sketches and resources. These are all it's good background information, knowledge that you need there, just to help you get a good understanding of things moving forward. Alrighty, and what's new in Moodle? So that brings us to the end of this PowerPoint. So we'll back out of here. Push the escape button there. I think close that down. Oops, I've still got it there again. And get it there. And we're back into session 2 here. So just looking at session 2, there's the plan. This will be the video that I'm just recording at this point in time as we speak. I'm getting a little bit of pizzazz there on the side, but that's all good. So there's some notes in here on the types of plans, and here some drawing and sketching guides. So these are useful things, drawing and sketching. Being able to communicate graphically on the ground, out on the job, is a very essential skill, and something that when you see somebody who has those skills, it's they're held in quite high regard. Abilities, people that can communicate graphically, just with a pencil and paper or a whiteboard pen or even a stick in the ground, are very well. It's very well prized in the engineering community. Okay, so just in the let's see, in the assessment tab, I don't think there's been any changes there. I might put the skill sheet down in there actually, and that might be there. But if you go to Basic 2D CAD in here, Basic 2D CAD in here, and you'll see under assessment here that I've put the CAD skills record sheet there, which I was mentioning, and I've made a hard copy of that available today. So yeah, that's in the Moodle. Just coming back, let's go back out of here, and back out of here. All right, and in the next, hopefully for next, the next part 2 of session 2, I'll have some suggested work that you could possibly do before coming to class in session 3, where we're going to look at drawing standards, so a little bit ahead. But as we move forward, be less and less of me talking and more of you doing. So I think that's probably all we need to cover for today, as far as I can see. We're moving ahead quite well. So let's leave it there. Cheers. See you.